But we got to open this up on the Big Ten's preeminent football school, boys, the Indiana Hoosiers. They went out and they picked up a 76-57 win over Miami of Ohio today. But it was not as pretty as a 19-point win might seem. They were able to grind it out down the stretch. They held Miami of Ohio scoreless for about a 6-minute stretch, Mike, but it was not the kind of dominating performance that I have come to expect out of this Indiana team. What do you make of the Hoosiers and where they are right now?
Yeah, I think, that game changed tonight when Suter went out for Miami. That's their leading scorer, had 42 the other night. He goes down with cramps. And as I see, overtime. But yeah, like this Indiana team, talent hasn't been the issue for them. I think, they have a lack of focus. They have a lack of effort. I think sometimes that Louisville game is burned into my skull, and it's hard to unsee that. But good teams, if you are a good team, you evolve throughout the season. So look, like there's no doubt that relative to expectations, they've underperformed. I'll give them some grace because it is somewhat of a new group. But I think my main concern outside of some of the effort communication stuff is the amount of overcomplicating there has been from a game plan and a scheme standpoint is crazy to me. And it's on both sides of the floor.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean by that, overcomplicating?
Yeah, so let's just start on the defensive end, right? Game in and game out. How hard do you want to make it on yourself? There's switching 1 through 5 against Louisville, who obviously smaller team, more skilled team. So you try to pull Omar Ballo out to the perimeter. Now he's having to guard off the bounce. Now you have your best, the leading shot blocker in the Big Ten away from the basket. There's that. There's some of the nail help stuff they've done where guy comes off the ball screen, the guy who's next in the gap will stand there and try to cut him off, and then they'll throw it over his head, and then you just purposely put yourself in rotation. And to me, if you're a team that goes into rotation, you better be a team that is built around speed. This team's built around size. So I don't know why you would want to be in rotation as much as they are. I don't know why you would want to switch as much as they are off the ball. Like, I think all the stuff that they're doing, they're trying to do so much defensively that they're spending so much of the game processing. And when you're processing, you're thinking. And when you're thinking, you're not talking. And there's a lack of communication. That's just on the defensive end. The offensive end, we'll get into, Miles Rice had a good game tonight, has to be better, has to be more consistent. But you got Omar Ballo as a guy that's at 7'1", and I just don't want to see him out on the perimeter as much as he is. Like, I don't know why if in a 2-big lineup, you're going with the guy who's not as sure-handed with the ball compared to Malik Renew. I know he had 6 assists tonight, but he's the one that's like the fulcrum of your 5 out, going into the DHOs, making high-low passes like that. That's just overcomplicating things. So from a coaching standpoint, and we talk about the effort, the lack of focus, all that stuff, that's on the players. But from a coaching standpoint, your job is to not just add stuff and not just try to be as creative as possible. Your job is also to try to simplify things and try to find the low-hanging fruit that eliminates inefficiencies. Like, Ballo's out on the perimeter. He's got 23 turnovers this year, and 17 of them are out on the perimeter. Just eliminate those and see where you're at the end of this. So, look, like, the bottom line is there's stuff that needs to be fixed schematically, game plan wise, but also, like, if you're wearing that jersey, that's a rabid fan base that's starved to win and win at a high level like they did in the past. Play your ass off when you're out there. Like, Luke Goody right now should be playing 35 minutes a game until like a message is sent for everyone else. And I don't know. I'll stop there because there's a lot with them, but. And I'm not necessarily out on Indiana. They just need to get out of their own way.
Go ahead, Ant.
And Anthony Leo, put him out there too, bro. 25 minutes at least. That is my guy. Because have you ever just watch him play? I feel like he makes so many positive plays out there, and it's never the wrong thing, ever. He's always doing the right thing, always making the right play. And you are right with a lot of that. And I kind of want to come back to like what you said. Like, you're not out on this team. I'm not either. I don't think their schedule did them much justice. I don't think that allowed them to really come into this year really chomping at the bit. I think they kind of saw a weak schedule. When you're looking at Miles Rice, how I feel like he like ran face first into a buzzsaw in battle for Atlantis. You know what I mean? And just seeing what happened there, and he's, if you take that out, like he's been such a such a positive piece on this team. Like today, Indiana really wasn't feeling it, but he gave that energy in the first half to keep them going. I think he had like 14 points. Then even in the second half, it's not like he went out there trying to hunt for his. He was just going out there trying to just go out and get positive possessions. I agree with you when it comes to the passionate fan base. This team is hungry. It's been since 2002 since they've been to a Final Four. This team has 5 national championships. Last one was won like 87. I would say Indiana and Maryland are two of the hungriest fan bases out there for the Big Ten, who is like fiending for success, fiending for it. And it's kind of wild seeing how this team is built to be brute to be big. They're big and physical, but they're top 70 nationally in shooting the three. Why don't they shoot more? I don't get that either. Like they should be shooting way more 3-point attempts than they do. If you're big inside and you're a decent 3-point shooting team, shoot threes and let your bigs be big. Go rebound the ball.
You know what? More than anything else to me, guys, like when I watch them play, it never feels like it kind of feels like they're, how there's NBA guys that are doing this because they love the lifestyle, right? And they love the money and they love the paycheck, and they're out there because this is what they do. They're basketball players and this is how they earn a living, right? And then there's guys that are out there because all they think about and all they care about is winning, and all they care about is hooping, and they will do anything to try to find a way to be able to get that win, get any edge. I feel like a lot of these Indiana guys this year, just watching them from afar, it's like they enjoy what being an Indiana basketball player entails. And it's not like they're out there. Like the Louisville one, Mike, that I'm never going to be able to forget that. Like you roll over and you die. They just quit. They were down by like 40 in that game. I think the final score was by 28 because they hit 3 threes in like the last minute to be able to make it like somewhat respectable.
Get those metrics.
Yeah, right. I can't get that out of my head. And I know you're over here sweating because we got an overtime game with Illinois. But I can't get that out of my head. And there's a level of purpose that you got to play with. And I want to see that at India. I want to feel, if I was an Indiana fan, I would want to feel like those guys cared about the outcome of every single possession the same way that I would care about the outcome of every single possession. And sometimes it doesn't feel that way.
Well, I think too, part of it, there's a couple guys that I don't want to necessarily like single out, but Mackenzie Mbako and Bryson Tucker, those are two guys that I think when they come into the game, I don't know. It's like there's not a plan offensively. They're trying to do a lot offensively. Right, there's some high ball screens, there's some high-low stuff, there's some floppy stuff, there's some screen, rescreen stuff, roll, replace stuff. Like there's all this stuff that they're doing, but there's not, for guys like Mbako or Tucker, there's not like predictability within your role. So then you just opt for like, I'm just going to shoot the next time I touch it. And that's what I see. It's like there's not a cohesive plan offensively. So it's like, it turns into, if it's not like Miles Rice coming off the ball screen, getting downhill, hitting a pocket pass to a short roller, like it just ends up being pass, shot. And I haven't shot in the last 3 minutes. I'm getting one up here. When I come off this pin down, I don't care if there's a hand in my face, I'm shooting it. And that's where some of the disjointedness comes in. So I think all this stems from like you have to simplify things. Like too many teams in college basketball right now are like getting new guys and then completely overcomplicating their system. You need to start basic, understand what you have, and grow out from there. Like that's what I think Indiana's biggest problem has been, is they're not keeping things basic and growing from there. They're trying to like do all these different things defensively, do all these different things offensively. And at that point, it's like, who are you? Like, and what predictability do you have in your roles?
And is Indiana a football school now?
No. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. SIG has done great things, bro. Great things. They're about 11-1 playoffs. That's absolutely insane to even talk about, from being like an Indiana football program. That's just wild to me. Just wild to me. But like, Matt, do you think Indiana is? Do you think they're trying to appease too many people, or like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to feed everybody, and in turn, nobody's getting full.
And well, part of that starts with level setting expectations going into the season. Like you got to have guys that understand what their role is before you get the season started. And granted, that stuff can change and that can take on different life forms throughout the season. But like, I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm watching the game against Miami tonight, and then even some of the like bright spots that they had in Atlantis, there weren't a ton, but the ones that they had was just like, hey, let's just play drop. Let's keep our shot blocker by the rim, right? Miles Rice, let's get him in ball screens. Let's give him some space to operate. Like dumb it down is the wrong term to use, but like simplify things, man. And
they give that dude no space.
I think
no space to operate.
Yeah. None. And like he didn't have a ton last year at Washington State. He had to do a lot off the bounce last year at Washington State. But this year, it's like, why, instead of having Ballo up top and have him be the guy who catches it, pops out, looks for high lows, goes into DHOs, goes into zooms, I don't understand why that wouldn't be Malik Renew as a short roller. And then if they're worried about Ballo's spacing, why not put Ballo in the short corner? And now you got short roller Renew. If big on Ballo commits uphill, you got a lob, you got a dump off. I feel like it's right there for them. That's why I don't think Indiana's far off. It's just right. There's tweaks here and there, but the game plan's one thing. You have to start playing hard consistently and play like you care consistently.
I do wonder a little bit if some of that
you through the screen, bro.
Yeah, I think with Renew, I just wonder if some of that is he was promised that he's not going to be playing the 5, and if he's the guy out there setting the ball screens, there's a little bit of like, that's me playing the 5. So I wonder if that's part of it as well. That's just me speculating and sitting here playing armchair analyst.